Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. The only way to learn how to juggle is practice. The only way to do well on math is practice as well. So Colfax Math is all about helping you be as successful as possible on any standardized math exam. What we have going today is the ASVAB Arithmetic Reasoning Sample Test. I did the first 15 problems in a previous video. I'll put a link to the description down there. I'm going to go through this test. What you really need to do is have paper and pencil out in front of you, pausing the video, doing the problems before I do them. If you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, I have a free course online. It is a playlist called Math Test Success. You can work your way through those videos. If you need even more material, there's a book you could buy on Amazon to go along with it. Work your way through that book, relearning the skills that maybe you missed. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump right over to problem 16. Okay, problem 16, a teacher deposits $3,000 into a retirement fund. Nothing is added. She earns an interest rate of 6%. How much money will she have in 1 year? So the key here is how much money will she have? I could just do 6 times 3 is 18. The only one that makes sense is 180. That's my natural distractor right here. That is her interest, 180. But her money in the bank is 3,180. Remember, it's about 1 minute per problem, and then there's no calculator, so you can do it pretty quick. What I did here is I took that 6%. I think of this percent sign as like a little arrow saying go over 1, 2. So that's the equivalent of 0.06. 0.06 times the 3,000. It's going to give me 0.0018. And then this is over 1, 2, so this is over 1, 2, $180 in interest, plus the original amount of 3,000. Okay, moving on to problem number 17 right here. A high school track measures a 1/4 mile, so I have a 1/4 mile track. How many laps would you have to run in order to run 3.5 miles? So I have 3.5 miles. And it's a 1/4 mile track. So how many times does that go into that? Well, I know 4 will go into 3 12 times, right? There will be 12 right there. And then in that half mile, there are 2 more. So it'll be 14. So the correct answer is answer B, 14. Let me do that all the way out. If you wanted to, if I went too quickly in my head to show you how to do that. If I want to divide these, I have to turn this into an improper fraction. 3 times 2, 6, plus 1, 7. So I have 7 over 2 divided by 1/4. The way I divide fractions is I multiply by the reciprocal. So I multiply by 4 over 1. Then I could reduce. 2 goes into here once, into here twice. 7 times 2 is the same, 14. Again, it's a multiple choice test, 36 minutes for 30 problems, so you got to go pretty quick. There's always going to be some sort of trick. You can make up some time the first way I did it rather than doing the whole long operation. All right, with that said, let's go on to 18. The speed is posted in kilometers per hour. The car speedometer shows he's traveling 75 kilometers per hour. Carl knows that there are about 63 miles in 100 kilometers. Let's see if we can figure this out. 63 miles in 100 kilometers. Well, this has to be, this is a lot less than 100. This is, 6/10 of 100. So I'm looking for something like 6/10 of that. So it's not that. That's the only one I could cross out. I could convert this into a decimal. This is 63 out of 100, or 0.63. The fact that all 3 of these are so close, I can't eliminate answers, means I'm going to have to multiply this out. So I'm going to have to do 75 times that 0.63 to get 15. Carry the 1, 22. Placeholder, 30. Carry the 3, 45. I add straight down 7, and I get 47.25. And it says approximately how many miles. So the correct answer is answer A, 47 right there. Problem number 19, a carpenter earns $12.30 an hour for a 40-hour week. His overpay is 1.5 times his base pay. He puts in a 46-hour a week. So he gets 40 hours at regular time, and then he gets 6 hours at overtime. Let me see if we can eliminate any answers here. Well, 40 times 12 is 480. So just in regular time, he's going to make somewhere around 480, probably 492. So we could cross out that one. We could also probably cross out that one. And those are the only two left. Because those two are so close, I think I'm going to multiply this out. So on regular time, this is going to go 0, 0, 0, 0. Placeholder, 0. 4 times 3, 12. Carry the 1, 9, 4. Yeah, sure enough. He makes $492 in regular time pay. That's the 1230 times the 40. Then I'm going to have to do 1230 times 1.5. Well, I could do 1.5 of 12. Half of 12 is 6. So 1.5 would be the 12 and the 6, 18. And then 1.5 of 30, half of 30 is 15. So 1.5 of 30 is 45. So he makes $12.30 an hour. Time and a half, he gets $18.45. So $18.45 times his overtime hours of 6 gives me 30. Carry the 3, 24, 27, 48, 50, 11. So, and then the decimals over 1, 2, 1, 2. So he makes 110.70 in overtime. I add those together to get 2, 2, 10, carry the 1, 6, 102, 70. So this is a correct answer right here. It's a tricky one. I probably spent more than a minute on that one, but luckily some of the earlier ones I cut right to the answer. Because these two multiple choice answers are so close, I ended up having to do the whole problem. All right, let's try another one. An office building has 30 employees and 42 square feet of workspace. 5 more employees are added, so 5 more are added. How much less workspace will each employee have? This is really the important word here. I'm finding how much less. It's a pretty tough one as well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that 42 times 30. I'm actually just going to times it by 3, then add a 0 on there to get 6, 12. Remember I had that 0. So the total area is 42 per person times 30 people. So I did 42 times 30 to get 1260. So that's the size of the office. There are 5 more people in there. So there were 30. 30 plus 5 gives me 35. So I have to divide this by 35. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this. Times 3 is 90 and 15, 105, 1, 2, 0. 35 and a 210 is 4 is 7140, 5, 6, 35 times 6 will give me 30, 1821. So yeah, that's exactly 6. So it'll be 36. You want to go to this one right here, right? That's an automatic distractor, but this is a key word. There are 42 square feet. How much less is there? Well, 42 to 36 is 6 less. Correct answer, answer A. That's a good one. It's a hard one with that automatic distractor. This isn't really about the math. This is really about reading the words. And that's why it's so important to circle the key words. Okay, 21. Stan bought a monster truck for $2,000. So that's how much he paid down, and $450 a month for 5 years. Well, $450 a month for 5 years, 12 months to the year. So I could just do 12 months times the 5 years to get 60. And then he pays $450 times 60. That's going to be pretty easy to do. Again, I'm going to drop that 0 off till the end to get 0, 30, carry the 3, 24, 27. Don't forget that 0 you dropped off. So he pays $27,000 in payments. You want to go to answer C, you did all that work, but that's the wrong answer because you got to remember the 2,000 down. So 27,000 plus the 2,000 is 29,000. That's why they're arithmetic reasoning problems, because they're really how well you can decode the paragraph into numbers. It's a great skill to have. It's a hard one to build unless you do a lot of practice. Number 22, I spent this much, and this much. What was the average cost of the groceries? I'm going to look down. This is a more than 100, a little more than 100, more than 100. So I'm thinking somewhere in the $115 department. This one's way out. These two are so close that I don't think I could approximate anything here. These things are only 30 cents apart. To get this one right, I'm going to have to find the average. So I got to take the 120.37, add it to the 108.45, add it to the 114.86. I add all three of those together and divide by 3. There will be one little trick here because they are so close. 7 and 5 is 12, and 6, 18. Carry the 1, 4, 8, 16. Carry the 1, 13. Carry the 1, 4, 3. So the total cost is $343.68. And then I'm going to take that $343.68 and divide it by the 3. That goes in there once. Bring down the 4, goes in there once. Bring down the 3, goes in there 4 times. So it is one of those two. 12, bring down the 6. 16 is 5. So I can see it's the last one right there. 15, bring down the 1, 18, 6. 114, 56. I don't think there are any tricks on that one. I think you just had to do all those operations. Again, probably spending more than a minute on that problem. Hopefully I'll make that up somewhere else on the test. 23. Keith is driving from Reno to Kansas City to meet his girlfriend. The distance between the cities is 1650. He drives 50 miles per hour. How many hours will it take him to complete the trip? So the first thing I'm going to do is just drop that 0 and that 0 off. And then I want to know how many times 5 goes into 165. Right, I divide both numbers by 10. 5 goes into 16 3 times. 1 left over, 15. Gives me another 3, 33 hours. So that one, I did the operation, but it was so quick, I made up a little bit of time right there. 24. Michael needs 55 gallons of paint to paint an apartment building. He would like to purchase the paint for the least amount of money possible. Which is the following should he buy? So the only thing I want to know is which is the least expensive. This idea that I have 2 25-gallon buckets, that doesn't really matter. The thing that matters is that I am spending 2 times $550. So in this case right here, I am spending $1,100. I don't really care about the gallons. I just want to know the total price, right? 2 times 55 is 110, and then add the 0 on. So I'm spending $1,100 here. Here I am buying $1,108 buckets, but 11 times 100 is going to be that, but I'm tempted to buy more than that. So I don't actually care what that is, but I know it can't be that because 11 times 100 is this. So 11 times 108 is more than that. 6 at 215. Well, 6 times 2 is 1,200. I don't really care what else it is. I already know it's going to be more than that. So this one won't work. 55 at 23. 55 at 23. I don't have to multiply that out because 55 at 20 is 1,100. 23 is more, so it's going to be more than 1,100. The only one that works, or the least expensive one, is answer A. That would have burnt up a ton of time if you figured all those out. Working with those answers is the only way to do that problem. 25. You require to set up a contingency plan to supply meals. We have a 12-ounce meal, 18-ounce meal, and another 18-ounce meal. A truck carries 3 tons, and that each resident needs 3 meals per day. How many residents can you feed? This is a tough one. You got to know a lot of units here. You need to know that 16 ounces equals 1 pound, abbreviated LB, and then a ton, 2,000 pounds, equal 1 ton. So I want to know how many pounds per person I'm going to figure out over 10 days. Well, I have 12 ounces for breakfast, 18 for lunch, 18 for dinner. So I'm going to add these up together to get 18, right? 16, 17, 18, carry the 1, and get 48 ounces. I know this is a no calculator problem, so it's going to have to work out pretty well. So one person eats 48 ounces per day. I take that 48 ounces per day, and I divide it by 16 to get pounds. So one person is 3 pounds per day. So one person is 3 pounds per day for 10 days. One person is 30 pounds. So one person will consume 30 pounds in that 10-day period. Then I need to figure out how much the truck could carry. It could carry 3 tons, 2,000 pounds, so it could carry 6,000 pounds. And each person consumes 30 pounds of food in that 10-day period. So I do 30 into 60, and I get 2. The only thing that works, answer B right there. This is a hard problem with a lot of conversions, a lot of pieces. And the biggest part is really decoding that whole paragraph right there. Hopefully some of those tricks, watching them enough again and again, will help to acquire them. 26. A train is headed south for Wichita, left the station at the same time a train headed north to Des Moines. Train headed to Wichita is 55 miles per hour. The train headed to Des Moines is 70 miles per hour. How many miles apart are the trains at the end of 3 hours? With the end of 3 hours, this thing's going to travel 55 miles per hour. So 55 times 3 is 165. I did 50 times 3, 150, 5 times 3, 15, add them together. And then this is 7 times 3, 21, add the 0. So this train will be 210 miles away, this one 165, or together they will be adding them together. 5, 7, 375 miles. Correct answer, answer D right there. Problem number 27. Carpenter needs to cut 4 sections of wood, 3 feet, 1 tick mark, 8 inches. From a piece of molding, the board's only sold by the foot, so I got to round up. What's the shortest length of board? I don't know if I can see anything there. I'm going to multiply 4 times 3 to get 12 feet. Then I'm going to do 4 times 8 to get 32 inches. 12 inches equals 1 foot. Double tick marker inches, and that's feet. So how many times does 12 go into here? 12, 24, 36. So it's going to be 2 something. I have to round up to get 3 feet. 12 feet and the 3 feet gives me the correct answer. Answer A, 15 feet right there. If you're still with me, good job. I know it's a lot. I know these are hard. But if you keep working at it, you got to get better at it. That's just the way it works. Okay, I had only one coupon for 10% off one turkey breast. A turkey breast costs $8.50. So that means $8.50 times 2 is 17 minus the discount on 1. So I know this can't be it. That doesn't even make any sense there. Those two are pretty close. Well, it's 10% off of $8.50, which means knock the 0 off. So I have 85%. No, I'm sorry. 10%, $8.50 is 85 cents off. My total cost is $17. 17 minus the 85 cents gives me $16.15. Correct answer. Answer A right there. 29. Recruiter travels 1,100 miles during a 40-hour work week. If she spends 40% of her time traveling, how many hours does she spend traveling? This is a great problem. It seems like, well, you got all these miles, you don't actually care, right? You just travel 40% of her time. Well, her time is 40. 40% of 40 is 16. Correct answer, answer C right there. That's how quick and easy it is. This is all a distractor. 40% of her time is what they're asking. Number 30, your car uses gasoline at a rate of 21 miles per gallon. 21 miles per gallon. Gasoline costs $2.82. And you drive for 7 hours at a speed of 48 miles. So there's a lot here, 7 hours at 48 miles. Well, this rate is miles per gallon, so I need to get total miles. We are going 48 miles per hour. So I take 48, I multiply it times 7. That's going to give me 56, carry the 5, 28. 33. So I do a total of 336 miles, right? In the 7 hours at 48 miles per hour, I do a total of 336 miles. Then now I have to take that 336 and figure out how many gallons that is. Well, I get 21 miles per gallon. So I go 21 miles into 336 miles. It'll go in there once. This is 2, 1, 126. That's 6. So I use 16 gallons of gas. 16 gallons of gas times the price of gas. Yeah, I can't really eliminate any answers there. So I have the price of gas from here times the number of gallons. That's going to give me 12. Carry the 1. 49. Carry the 4. 12, 16. Placeholder 2, 8, 2. Add straight down 2, 11, 14, 15, 4. My decimal's over 1, 2, so I go over 1, 2. So 45, 12 is my correct answer right there. Again, quite a few steps in that problem. I don't think there are any shortcuts on it. Well, I really appreciate you watching. If this was all too hard, maybe go back and relearn some of that math. You could do that in my book, Math Test Success for the ASVAB. This is certainly harder ones than I usually do. These are also good for the AFOQT officer training math exam. These are all arithmetic reasoning. All right, well, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.